Hey guys, and welcome back to the Who Cares Anyway podcast, our first show of 2019. And of course, the intro screwed up during the very beginning, but I just need to make a new one and make it less big so that way OBS can actually stream this as it's supposed to. But hey, what are you going to do? We are here, we are live. It's, like I said, first show of the year, and we got a full panel, we got a full show, we got a lot of big news, and we're going to get into the master of himself, Keanu Reeves, in the second half. But first, let me introduce the panel. First up, you seen him, you love him, you know him. Case, how's it going, man?
Hello, how's it going? First show, we're gonna talk about a lot of award stuff because award season is really starting now. So I'm excited for that. Excited about that we're about to talk about one of the best, worst action stars of our time. That's going to be fun. And fun to have Mr. McLellan back on the show for the first time in... how long has it been?
Case, you spoiled the big reveal. I was just about to say,
He's
back. He's back.
Who's this guy?
Ryan McLellan. Dude, how's it going, man?
I tried to get out, but they just pulled me back in, and here I am. I really wish that I could have been here, but life gets busy. Everybody, we all know how it is. Unfortunately, we don't get paid to do this. Trust me, if we got paid to do this, wouldn't we have a better intro? I feel like we would have nice chairs, like big old headphones.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, so anyway, yeah, it's good to be back, and I'm excited to talk about random movie things.
Absolutely. So, and actually, I'm going to fix one thing here in the stream, then good to go. Okay, I know, I'm always fixing crap. That's just how it is. But
who cares anyway?
Exactly. Hey, take a shot.
Yes, I'll do that.
I feel like Peter Griffin
Ryan,
when he's watching.
Goddamn beer.
I know. I'm being healthy today. Football day is beer day. That's Sunday, man. I'll be watching the Patriots versus the Chargers. Let's go Patriots! But yeah.
Anyway. Hold on though, because talk about a Cinderella team that came right the hell out of nowhere.
Chargers? I mean,
yeah.
Look, we played them in the divisional round back in 2008. So, I mean, it's not like they've been horrible. But, yes, you're right. It's been a while. Besides Phillip Rivers, it's been a while that the rest of the team is worth anything. So, yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, yeah, but to be fair, Phillip Rivers has been so divisive, that people have written songs about how much of a bitch he's been.
Which is weird because, like, he's a Catholic guy. He's got, like, 9 kids. He's one of the most chill dudes ever. I'm pretty sure he's from California. Like, this dude. Yes. No, wait, he has a southern accent. Never mind. I don't even know.
Well,
but yeah,
whatever.
he's chill. He's my best friend. We talk. If I knew Phillip Rivers, I would just use him as a way to be friends with Tom Brady. I'm not even going to lie.
Of course you would. But in case, is there something that has been on your mind this week that you would like to join in the fun before we dive into the news?
Oh, we're actually done with the American Handak talk.
It's called football, mate.
Has there been anything this week? I'm lonely again. My girlfriend is back to where she lives again, unfortunately. We already miss each other. We already want that she comes back here, but that's going to not happen for another 2.5 months. So that kind of sucks. So, yeah, I've been going back to work after having a vacation. So it's been a shitty week. Let's have a fun night tonight.
Everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
Just rub it in. Rub it in.
Chris is like, what are you complaining about, mother...
Yeah,
I'm complaining because I can. Because people do that these days. You have issues with that? You want to complain about me complaining?
I'm totally triggered, sir. How dare you?
It's the internet.
I was gonna say this is how Who Cares Anyway is broken down. Like this is where the trio goes away forever. Too much complaining.
Yep. Nope. Totally done. Screw you guys. I'm going
I'll
home.
start the
Wait, I'm already
documentary
home.
right now. We'll start the documentary. Who Cares Anyway was an important podcast of the 21st century. We explore how and why they fell apart. Case's drug addiction led them down a dark path. Chris was selling things that no one should ever be selling on the internet. And Ryan, well, everybody
Ryan
knows.
was
He was
Ryan.
weird. He was weird. How and why next on Who the Fuck Cares Anyway?
Yeah. So, okay. No, and something very weird happened to me the other day. So everybody has that one that got away, right?
True.
And the sad thing for me is the woman who I always said was mine, she's never officially been the one that got away, because she's forever that fruit that you're just out of reach.
Just carrot on the stick.
Yeah. And I wasn't expecting her to give me a call last week and have us just chat for over an hour, but yeah, we did, and it feels weird. I thought I was over this. I'm not over this. I have a problem.
Is this like the dog in Mulan, where she burns the stick with the bone, and the bone is right in front of you, and you're trying to get to it, but you're never actually reaching it?
Yeah, something like that. Damn it. Oh well. Let's.
You know what's great about movies is they take us away from miserable life.
That's why we love it. Because our lives are
good.
too goddamn miserable.
And then we watch There Will Be Blood and be like, wow, my life is great.
At least we're not making dumb decisions like that. Yes, fair point, Ryan. Well said. Well said. So yes, let's start breaking down the movie news that happened this week. And as Case alluded to, there is a crap ton of award season stuff happening right now. So let's just start off with the obvious. Let's start off with the Golden Globe Awards. And guys, just a heads up, we're gonna stick to mostly just the movie side of things. We're not really gonna talk about the TV side because, well, none of us are really caught up on TV. It's not that we don't care; we just don't have the time at the moment. Although, hopefully by next year I can be a little more into that. But so let's break this down, and we'll just kind of go over a lot of the basic stuff. So starting off with Best Original Song. Yeah, of course, Shallow.
There's no other one that would possibly win it.
Well, from a certain point of view,
No, Shallows is great.
Shallow is great. It is a great song. And then Justin Hurwitz actually took home, I believe now his second Golden Globe for First Man after having previously won for La La Land. So, hey, congratulations. And to be fair, he did have some competition because, Marco Beltrami for A Quiet Place did great, and Alexander Desplat for Isle of Dogs was a pretty good score. But, tis what tis. Foreign film, Roma. Was there anything else? Next.
No.
That one is kind of cheating, though, because he makes a lot of really good, U.S.-based films as well, like Hollywood-based films. So that one's, I feels like a little bit of cheating, because is it really a true foreign film?
Well,
it is.
Yes, because it was, shot pretty much, well, it was all Spanish, and
Yeah, but it was placed into an American market on Netflix. I get it. I get why they did it. I think you can make an argument either way, though, because like a true foreign film is like,
Here's the difference, though. If you don't have
Seal or something like that,
if you don't have Roma in that category, nobody gives a crap about the entire category.
Which is why they did it, though.
Yeah.
Which is why they did it. But I don't know. It just seems like cheating to me. Of course he won. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, of course. And then up next, there was, and this was actually a tough category, at least for some people. Not so much for others, but for some people it was a tougher category, and that was animated, because Incredibles 2 was pretty damn good. Isle of Dogs.
It is a really good movie.
Isle of Dogs, as quote-unquote controversial as it is, it's still a really good movie, but Spider-Verse totally deserved it. It was my number
Yes.
2 film last year.
The
Oh,
animation
I know.
style.
God,
Holy
it was
cow.
so
Oh,
beautiful.
Like if you want an animated movie to actually, because this by far has the best animation out of all, then yeah. Also, just such a delightful, great movie. Really, in every single way. I loved it so much.
Absolutely. Best screenplay for a motion picture. Now, okay. This is one of those cases where I didn't want Green Book to win. I really didn't want it to win.
Did you seen Green Book though?
No, but there was a great point that Bibiani brought up on Critically Acclaimed regarding this film that, granted, I am going to see this movie. I just don't want the very valid point that he brought up to taint it when you really stop to think about it.
What was
But,
the point?
and again, that's not what this conversation is about. In fact, I think when we inevitably do have him and Whitney on this show, well, we can get into that then. But I don't know. I after finally actually, and I finally have seen If Beale Street Could Talk. I hate to say it, but that's a damn tight script. So personally, I would have given it to it, but
I think the thing with Green Book is it's the easy choice, you know, because it's the one that I think more people have seen. And again, I have not seen it yet. I genuinely really just don't have that much interest in seeing it because based off the trailers and based off of what I've heard, it's pretty bland. I'd almost rather just read the book that it's based off of.
Same.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that I won't ever see it. I'll probably try to see it before we get into Oscar talk and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, I think they kind of Golden Globes, I think we can agree a lot of times just goes for the easy choice, like with Roma and all this other stuff. They just go with what's going to get the most attention and like, hey, you know that movie you've been seeing trailers for and been saying for a month to your friend, oh, we should really go see that? Well, now you're definitely going to go see it because it won a Golden Globe at blah, 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 this, and this. You know?
Why, thank God, the Globes don't really have that much.
They still are going to put it on a trailer, though.
True.
I do have to say, out of the ones that are nominated, Green Book is the only one that I have seen.
Really?
I'm catching up with the movies, of course. I want to see all of these, but I've seen Green Book. I actually thought it was a really good movie. It was well written, well performed, so I understand why it won Best Screenplay. If any of the other movies should have won, I don't know because I haven't seen them yet. But yeah, as you guys say, it's probably the safe choice. Probably.
Which I almost feel is kind of what happened with Best Director because it didn't go to Bradley Cooper, it didn't go to Adam McKay, it didn't go to Peter Farrelly, it didn't go to Spike Lee, who I genuinely think should have gotten it for BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah.
But instead went to Alfonso Cuarón, which Case, as a, true lover of Prisoner of Azkaban, if ever there was one, I know you're happy about this.
Not really, actually. No. I think Alfonso Cuarón was a great director. It's just that he did that in 2004 and 2006. Then Gravity, he finally got the Oscar that he should have gotten before. In my opinion, because I don't care for Gravity. I really hate that movie, actually. And I haven't seen Roma yet, but I'm like, not really looking forward to watching it. I will watch it just because of the fact that it's nominated for everything, but I don't know. I would have loved to have Bradley Cooper or Spike Lee win it because I've seen both The Star Wars Born and BlacKkKlansman, and they were really well directed. So, yeah.
Personally, Cooper's directing wasn't as strong as his acting was in that film, but yeah, it was still damn good. I'm not gonna take anything away from him in that regard. But yes. Although supporting actor now, can you deny Mahershala?
Not really.
Not really. Which
haven't
which bums me out because I wanted Adam Driver to win this.
Oh yeah, Adam Driver is great in BlacKkKlansman, but he's nowhere near Mahershala Ali. I'm sorry. I love Adam Driver. And I actually like Black Klansman a lot. I haven't seen Beautiful Boy, but I've heard a lot of good things about Timothée Chalamet, though.
Well, and
So
to be fair,
I was a little surprised that he didn't win.
To be fair, Timothée Chalamet is kind of like the 20-year-old version of Mahershala Ali. Like, everything he touches just turns to gold.
And that's why I think he won it, is because he's just good in everything. Like, you can't go wrong with him. Even voice acting now, as we find out, too.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. When he has the speech with Miles, through the door. Yeah.
Or, well,
Wait,
or...
huh? Wasn't Mahershala Ali the uncle?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was the uncle.
Right.
He wasn't.
Yeah, you're thinking of Brian Tyree Henry, who...
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Man. Yeah, no, and... spoiler for Spider-Verse, but Mahershala's final scene did have me tearing up.
That's the one. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, that hurt. That hurt.
Hey, with great
And
power
I
comes
like
great
the
responsibility.
brother thing too, though, because I actually just recently watched The Raid Redemption too, which I don't know if you guys remember, but one of the brothers is the mob member, and one of the others is the cop. So seeing those so close together, I was like, oh, that kind of gave me that vibe, and I don't know, it just really made the movie so much cooler for me. I was like, wow, that's a really, not only is Miles affected by it, but the father. I can't remember his character's name necessarily because I just remember him as Dad. But the father, he just acts so tough about all these things. And then next thing you know, he acts so distant from his brother. You get that feeling that he's distant. And then when he finally sees his brother, and as someone who has 3 brothers, that's it was impactful for me to see. But anyway.
Totally.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Best Supporting Actress, Regina King. Yeah, she earned it. She totally earned it, and and granted, I've yet to see Vice or The Favorite, so I don't know. Maybe Rachel or Emma or Amy were snubbed, but oh man, Regina, ooh.
And I think they're probably trying to go for people who maybe already have less recognition in that category. I mean, Emma Stone has actual Oscars and stuff like that, so they're probably trying to.
By the way, there's a snub in the nominations. Where's Emily Blunt?
Oh, for Quiet Place, that's right.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because she's nominated for the SAG Award, but she's not nominated for this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, she did a really good job, but I think again, it's at this point, it's kind of expected of her.
It's kind of a classic case of, they didn't want to nominate the same actress twice for 2 different films, which
true. They did it in other awards, but true.
Yeah, and to be fair, it's the Globes are technically a lot more broad than Screen Actors Guild, so you can get away with that a little.
Yeah,
that's
true.
And they're looking for different stuff too. I mean,
yeah,
it's a totally different caliber of attention, I guess.
But it's good to know that as horrible of a man, in my opinion, as Dick Cheney at times was, Christian Bale got the recognition that he truly deserved for a performance that I can only describe as just encapsulating the madness that's known as Richard Cheney.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie, but I will say for what's his face there, Christian Bale, the one thing we know about him, and I think what he takes personal pride in, is being able to disappear into any role by crazy physical changes, makeup changes, all the above, with the machinist and all of that.
Gaining weight, losing weight.
Exactly. It's basically what he's built his career off of, is how can I go to the next extreme of just being complete, whether he's a sleazebag in American Hustle, he just wants to play every character out there, I think. So I can't say I disagree. I mean, he's so good, but yeah. That's the other thing is do we have? And he
did have some stiff competition. I mean, because you had Robert Redford, you had Viggo Mortensen, Lin-Manuel, and John C. Reilly, and I'm so mad I haven't seen Stan and Ollie yet.
Viggo is so great in Green Book. It's not even. It's really great, honestly.
I think it would have been a cool nod for Lin-Manuel to get it, though, because I mean, if you're good on Broadway,
it's
then you're
his,
able to.
It's his first performance.
Yeah, I get that, but a lot of people win off of their first performance. And again, it's just the Globe,
True.
so it's kind of like a sticker as opposed to an actual award. So I think it would have been cool if he got the sticker, because Christian Bale has, again, literal Oscars. Does he really give a crap if he wins the Golden Globe? No, of course not, because he has actual Oscars. Like, there's no way he actually cares. Do you think so?
Did he win for American Hustle?
No.
Did he not win an Oscar for anything else?
Or no, he won the Oscar for The Fighter, supporting actor. That's his only Oscar he won.
But that's still a real Oscar for a
yeah,
supporting actor, as opposed to.
However,
I'm not him, so I have no idea.
This year, I do think that this year he does want to go for the lead actor, which he probably will get.
And he has a strong shot of getting it.
Yeah, but my argument is just he's a been there, done that. He's been in the business for a lot longer, since he was a fucking child. So,
which I agree with you there, but my question though is, are they gonna maybe as sort of like a last hurrah for Redford?
That would be cool. That would be cool too. I mean, again, he's definitely a been there, done that. I mean, he's been
he definitely
amazing movies.
By the way, I do want to say that it was amazing that Christian Bale at the end of his speech thanked Satan for the award. That was amazing.
And that's how I know he doesn't take it seriously. That's how you know he doesn't take it seriously.
Yeah.
No.
But it was still amazing.
He doesn't take the award seriously, but he did take the performance seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what matters, I think.
Absolutely. You know, and same with Olivia Colman when she stepped up to receive her Best Actress. Like, again, because I haven't seen The Favorite, I can't 100% for sure say that I think she would have earned it. But as a longtime fan of her work, especially in Broadchurch, I was just happy to see her get recognition over here across the pond and actually break through.
Yeah.
So.
And she's a more outside the box.
Yes.
Choice anyway. So again, that's what I'm trying to get at, is like with these Golden Globes, if you're going to have it, and we all know, like even the people that do the Golden Globes know that it's not a real thing, even as hard as they try. You know, when Andy Samberg and Sandra Oh are your hosts, like. You know.
Yeah, and we'll
they did well.
We'll get there in a moment. We'll get there in a moment.
Yeah. Not to get ahead of myself.
You know, and by the way, Elsie Fisher, who was nominated for 8th Grade, on behalf of everybody everywhere, I am so sorry that the internet was a bunch of idiots to you when you were happy that Rami Malek won Best Actor in a drama, which... People of Twitter, can you just grow up?
Shut the fuck up.
Please.
It'll never happen.
I can dream, though.
Look, and it's not like I get that Bohemian Rhapsody has the controversy about it because of the director, but Rami Malek's work in the movie has nothing to do, or not that much to do with that. If he deserves the award, then give him the goddamn award, and don't complain about the fact that it was directed by a shithead who was actually dropped by the goddamn studio because they realized that the director.
Well, and the thing too is, it's not like Rami Malek chose the director. You know?
No.
And that's what's stupid about it. And he's just looking for work. I mean, he's gaining popularity, but it's not like he can, just drop out of every movie that he gets offered and suddenly be expected to get another starring role. I mean, he's not at that level yet. He's just not. It's the truth.
Getting there.
And so, yeah, he's absolutely getting there. And this isn't a knock on him, but you just have to look at things very bluntly and very honestly when you're saying all these allegations and things. And, you can't just nitpick every little thing, but that's the problem with the internet is internet is literally
everybody has to nitpick
every little thing of everyone that has existed ever. So,
like, I haven't seen Bohemian Rhapsody yet, but I can already tell by the trailers and by the reactions of the movie that it is a great movie and that Rami Malek portrays Freddie Mercury really well, regardless of its directing.
Yeah. And look, as much as it kind of kills me to say it, but for what I can tell was actually directed by Bryan Singer before the replacement came in and, shot what was left to do, it's a really well-directed film.
He's
know,
a good director.
I mean, look,
Usual
Bryan
Suspects,
Singer
at
has
the beginning.
always been a great director.
Yeah. There's no
minus a movie from 2006, but
yeah. Wow.
That movie was just boring.
yeah. But and but it is what it is, and I think this is a strong indicator of our final lineup for the Oscars this year. And
yeah.
I don't care where anyone's from, but for Best Actress, it's going to Glenn Close, no matter what, because she has not won an Oscar.
But does she need to? I haven't seen this movie. So
Okay. I haven't seen The Wife yet. I probably won't either. But it was very surprising to me that Lady Gaga didn't win.
Well, to me it was very non-surprising that she didn't win, and it's not to say again, it's not to discredit her as an actress, but for me the simple fact is Glenn Close, who is regarded as one of the greatest actresses of the past 40 years, does not have Oscar gold.
Yeah, but like in all actuality, like what of timeless quality has she actually made an impact in? And that's not to say, because you get
Guardians of the Galaxy,
right? But you get and the past, I guess ultimately, unless you're giving a lifetime achievement award, it doesn't really matter because it should go based off of what you're in, and that's an argument for someone brand new winning an award.
Yes.
But my only thing is whether she should or she shouldn't. I think that.
Well,
what is my point here? That she shouldn't win just because of everything else.
That's the thing. Like,
that's what the Oscars always do, though, is they do essentially.
I know, and I've always hated it.
Yeah, no, and trust me, I hate that's what they will do because. Yeah. But here's the plain simple fact, though, is they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So
they've done two different things in the past. They've either given the award to a person who has always kind of deserved it but never gotten it, and finally puts in a role good enough to finally get the award, or they give it to the young talent. In this case, that would be Lady Gaga, who's never really been in a big movie, who puts in a great performance in one of her first big movies, and to make sure if you give her the award for that, she might continue to have a great career after that.
True. Yeah.
Either way, like it can go either way.
And that's kind of what they did with Jennifer Lawrence. Is they guaranteed that she's going to be in every movie to the end of time by giving her an award. So I mean, the Oscars really have a huge influence, and I think that's why, to me, even if I feel like a lot lately they really don't pick the thing that should win. Like I feel like it's an increasing problem. Maybe it's just because I pay more and more attention to the Oscars over the years.
Which, oh my God, could you have said that any better? Because I want to. I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna go on a short one here.
Hold on. Can I just say one thing that I was thinking about today, and then I'll totally let you take it? I was listening to a podcast today, and they talked about how The Social Network, Trent Reznor won for that over Inception, John Powell for How to Train Your Dragon. And one other really good score that I can't. Oh, The King's Speech, which was it was pretty good, but mainly I think Inception or How to Train Your Dragon should have won. But because Trent Reznor, hold on. Because Trent Reznor strung together 4 ominous notes and repeated them throughout a film that was really popular. Oh, it's a rock star that's now making music. Wow, so cool. Let's nominate him. When you listen to John Powell or Hans Zimmer, and you're like, wow, these guys, and John Powell, who really gets not much recognition at all. And if you've ever listened to How to Train Your Dragon, it's probably, if not his best work, one of his best works. It's incredible. The flight song, or the flight theme, whatever you want to. Okay, way better than repeated throughout the entire movie. There's just no skill there. But I wasn't even arguing about it. I was arguing about John Powell.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Because you want to talk about the most ass backwards wins and nominations for your biggest awards of the night. Best Picture, Musical Comedy, and then Best Picture Drama. Your winners, in my opinion, pretty well deserved. Are Bohemian Rhapsody and I disagree with Green Book, but
you haven't seen it yet.
I know.
It is a really good
What he
movie.
likes. He's a man who knows what he likes. All right, come on.
But here's the problem. If it was the other way around, I wouldn't be bitching as much. But how in the fuck does Green Book win for Best Comedy or Musical and Bohemian Rhapsody win for Best Drama?
I don't know. I honestly God don't know.
Because it's a joke.
I know.
Because
the Golden Globes are a joke.
I mean, still, how did The Martian win for musical or comedy in 2015? Nobody fucking understands that.
There was okay. There's a slight difference there, and I'm not defending that choice because that was still a dumb choice.
Yes.
But I'll somewhat, I somewhat understand, to play devil's advocate, just because that movie has a lot of in the moment comedic moments that just are peppered in constantly throughout the film.
It was funnier than I expected it to be.
It was a funny movie overall, but it's not a comedy. It's a lot more like a drama because it's still about a man on Mars who might die over there, which is pretty dramatic, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing with the Golden Globes. The fact that they split drama and musical or comedy, first of all, is a joke. Second of all, how they nominate certain movies in the categories is the second joke, which is like, why do you even do this?
Because they're trying to game plan their wins. They know how they want certain things to win to draw people in and to interest people. And it's kind of like this nepotistic, I don't know, that's not probably not even the right word, but it's just this thing where they game the system by having everything go their perfect little way. And maybe sometimes things escape here and there, but I think that what happened that night was pretty much what they wanted to happen.
By the way, I do have to say, I've seen Green Book, Crazy Rich Asians, and a part of Vice, and they're all in musical and comedy, and I'm like, how?
I mean, Crazy Rich Asians should be in comedy. That was a funny movie. That should be in comedy. That is a comedy. That's straight up a comedy. But it's more maybe, it's not like a Step Brothers comedy, like it's not a stupid comedy, but that's exactly what it sets out to be. Now, Vice, that's satirical, which you can say is a comedy. If you want to like laugh at stupid things that people have done in their lives, then great. But yeah, Green Book, if you try to say it's like a buddy comedy, doesn't.
I mean, there are funny
seems
moments.
extreme.
There are funny moments, but it's not a comedy.
Yeah, every movie to an extent. I mean, even Blade Runner 2049 is a very serious movie, and there's still parts that make me laugh. So
yeah,
everything has comedy in it.
Yeah, like that really weird sex scene.
No, that doesn't make
and I love Blade Runner 2049, but that sex scene is just awkward.
It's good.
This is Blade Runner 2049 show. Let's get it started. Keanu Reeves, who's that?
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so
2049 Los Angeles. Oh, okay, no,
sorry. I honestly don't really have too many final thoughts on just the Globes overall, but it is because half of the awards I don't see showing any Oscar potential, whereas the other half are just stand-ins for who will receive said Oscar in the category.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, but this, you know, for as meh of a year for film as 2018 was, I guess it's only fitting that the show itself was pretty meh as well.
I do have to say, when I saw Andy Samberg and Sandra Oh, I was like, really, those two? They were fine. They were better than I expected. They weren't great or anything compared to other hosts that I've seen, but could have been much worse. On the other hand,
yeah, I forgot to say.
On the other hand, we have no host for the Oscars though, so I really wonder what is going to happen with that.
Talk about the world's most boring Oscars ever.
Yeah.
Like, you could go back to the first ever Oscars in the 20s, and I bet those would be more exciting.
Yes.
Actually, they probably really were.
They probably
were like gold everywhere and just fucking hell yeah. Smoking inside. Yes. Drinking. Yes. I wish I was there. But no Oscars. And they said, I saw, as like, we're going to rely on the musical performances to move the show along.
Oh shit! Oh, they're
What?
still continuing. Oh damn.
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're gonna use so basically like it'll be like their set pieces, which are the musical performances, and then they're going to have like their little interludes, like their little in the speaker interludes, and then they're gonna have the announcers for each category walk on when it's time. But there's gonna be no one like trying to keep people awake in the audience. So I would be miserable being in that audience because you're just gonna be like, oh my gosh, we're on best sound editing, which some people care about. Chris, nerd, fucking. But anyway, I'm just kidding. I care too. But you see what I'm saying? I mean, if you're sitting in the seats, it's completely different. They can't just get up and get a beer and sit around in their underpants or whatever Chris does on the weekends. But
God, don't I wish I had the time for that.
But anyway, so it's just like really, you couldn't find anyone.
I mean, literally, like, okay, if there was ever a year to have the Muppets host the Oscars, this would have been it.
Yeah.
I don't know the logistics of that, but I would.
But it would have been amazing.
The thing is, at that point, Frank Oz has to do everything he can do.
Yes. And I mean, they could literally have a hologram of Tupac up there. Like, they could do whatever they want. It's 2018. Like, do something, man. Put a robot up there.
Hell,
put a sex robot
up there. Put Thanos up there, but...
Put Thanos up there. I support
would
that.
Be awesome. Josh
Yes.
Brolin would probably be a really good host. He probably doesn't want to do it, but...
No.
And then he's like, I know what it's like to lose, but today the Oscar goes to...
Well, I'll host the Oscars. I don't give a shit. I'll host them pro bono. Just let me go and be there. And do it.
Unleash a wild Ryan on poor Hollywood.
How offensive have you been towards Hollywood?
A lot. I don't know. They've never watched this before.
Hopefully.
They need someone outside the box. I mean, that was what was good about the Kevin Hart is like he's a really funny guy. He's pretty irreverent. Like if you're gonna put Seth MacFarlane up there, if you can get away with Seth MacFarlane, you can pretty much get away.
Well, no, that's the thing.
But
though,
that was a different time.
They choked him too much.
They did choke him a lot, but that's still my point though. Is like Kevin Hart's irreverent, but he's also in like kids comedies. When was the last time you saw Seth MacFarlane in The Secret Life of Pets or Jumanji? How funny is he in Jumanji? And he never swears like. He maybe swears like once, and it's like a kiddie swear. It's a PG-13 swear. And he's hilarious in it. So I think I rest my case.
I'm missing 2 feet of my body.
And exactly what we were talking about earlier, though, with, I forget her name, the girl from 8th grade, though. It's like, let's
Elsie
nitpick
Fisher,
everything about Let's nitpick everything about everything that anyone's ever done. In 2011, he made some tweets that he has already apologized for, but we got to
time again.
Yeah, exactly, and I respect him so much.
He's apologized for it already.
Well, now
the Oscars are saying apologize again, and
he's like,
he's
no, I'm done apologizing, and I have so much respect for that. Because why should he have to apologize again? It makes no sense.
Now here's the thing: I agree with you 100%, but he's being way too much of a defensive little bitch about it, though.
No, because you already apologized. You're doing your job. You've been more successful in Hollywood than you've ever been. So. Why should he apologize again?
That's fine, but just notice this. Notice this. I have already apologized for my tweets in the past, and I just hope that I can move on and that we can all continue on as if nothing happened. Thank you. Versus
apologize again.
That's what he said.
Versus, I already apologized. I don't know why I keep bringing it up, and just move on. I moved on. What's the difference? Kevin Hart is doing the second.
Yeah, but he's mad, and I would be too if people are dragging up something I said. In 2011, I mean, granted, I'm way younger. I'm at least 10 years younger than him, so there's a big difference. It was 2011, I was like 16. But still, that is the age we are headed for, because I will be 35, and I could be going to be president, and they'll dig up some tweets that I said, like, oh, 9 Inch Nails is fucking retarded, or something like that. Like, oh, he said retarded. Well, all right, maybe that's what I would have said, and I don't actually mean it. I was using it for the example here of if I said something that could be offensive. I know people who have children that are, have mental problems, so there's a certain thing of you can't always dig everything up and blame someone for that and constantly ask them to apologize. If it's done at a certain point, it has to be done. Because we are headed constantly for this culture that's like, whatever you do, it's like that's the end of the world now because you said some jokes back in the day that you shouldn't have said, and now you can't, you know. And I kind of respect the fact that I think he's still going to have a really good career.
Of course.
No one really needs to host the Oscars. I'm sure he was kind of like, all right, I'll do it, but it's not like his first choice of a job. There's so much other stuff you could do that's way more fun than hosting the Oscars.
And that's the thing too, is like again, he has every right to simply say, I don't need to apologize. I've already apologized. What he's saying, I agree with. I just think
he's bad.
He should show a little more restraint.
Besides the fact that Kevin Hart might be needing to show a little bit more restraint, the Oscars might need to just loosen up a little.
That too.
Because honest to God, I don't know what the Oscars are doing. Like the Oscars this year came with the idea, let's do best popular film to make sure that more people will watch the Oscars. Not a good idea.
No.
But maybe it will make people watch the Oscars. But you know why people like the Oscars? Because there's a funny host. What do you do? What is the first thing you do with the actual Oscars? When you are actually like, okay, what should we do? Should we add a category? No, we're just going to kick out the host. The host is why people watch that show, because it's a funny host.
And even then, not that many people watch the show. So if you're going to do it and you want to make it interesting, the right answer is to get a younger person in the industry who's like I'm talking like not a day above 30. That's who they really need. I'm sorry. It sounds stupid.
Absolutely.
Someone really young. But that's what they need to make people that aren't a day above 30 give a shit. Like, because except for the uber nerds like us, if I tell someone, like, oh, have you seen 12 Years a Slave? It won an Oscar. No one's going to care that it won an Oscar. They're like, oh, have you seen this awesome movie called 12 Years a Slave where this dude fights for his fucking life? Like, that's what's interesting. So you got to find a way to, and I'm not saying, oh, well, you have to nominate Marvel movies because maybe some of them, I think Infinity War might deserve one.
Infinity War definitely deserves it, not the other one.
That's not the answer that I'm coming up with. My answer is just, you've got to like switch something up, like take away the musical performances, get skits in there, like SNL skits, something. I don't know. Just, you got to do something. And the answer is not, let's disrespect a bunch of movies.
By the way, they should still add the category that I think SAG Awards already have, Best Stunt Ensemble Performance.
That would be cool.
Where you actually praise the more action type movies, the more blockbuster type movies that are not getting nominated for Best Picture. You can literally like do a fucking Oscar for that, and maybe even casting director, because those are definitely deserving Oscars. Those are definitely tasks that for years people have been saying those need Oscar praise.
Yeah, because
and that will probably also get people.
Line.
Shit.
Who else is putting their lives on the line besides Tom Cruise? Actually, that's probably the only issue. Is he'll win it every year.
By the way, this year, Mission Impossible Fallout, bar none.
Yeah. So like, Tom Cruise just wins it every year. Thank you again for this award. I broke my fibula.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Oh,
I broke my skull this time. He's like in a wheelchair.
Jumping out a window.
From 2,000 feet up.
Okay. We should send him to the moon and have him do shit up there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. No, and you know what? Here's the thing. I'm actually glad we got this out of our system, because I feel like there's just a lot of pent up tension for how all this shit went down, and it's still just ridiculous in every sense of the word. But I actually feel really good about just getting it out of our system. And there were a few more stories that I want to get to, like the WGA and the PGA and the DGA, but
it's all the same.
It's all the same. So I'm
and the thing is like those ones matter more because it's people in their craft.
Yes.
So like that's interesting if you're interested in directors.
And it's also more like if you look at the nominations for the Directors Guild, the Writers Guild, and the Screen Actors Guild, then you actually see a little bit more what is actually going to get the Oscar praise when the Oscars come around, rather than the Golden Globes, which is still.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
PGA never really seems to matter, though. They never really seem to go with PGA stuff. I mean, I could be speaking something. I could be saying shit I don't.
Okay,
I feel
they go with about 70% of it, but there's always that. What's going to be those three that get cut? You know, in 2016 it was Deadpool that got cut from the list. In 2017 it was shit. I'm trying to remember what it was now.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, that got cut. So, I mean, it's. Yeah, but the bottom line is that the Oscar race picture is starting to finally become a little more clear, and thank God for it. So that way, once the nominations actually do get released, I'm not going to be as surprised because, well, I hate bringing this point up, but last year was such a meh year for films.
It really was, yeah.
Like, because the good stuff was good, and the bad stuff was bad, and that's it.
Well, like, the thing too is like I just want to clarify that way no one thinks I'm like an angry fuck that like doesn't care. Like I actually am interested to see who wins. It's just my frustration with like how the proceedings are going, but I still want to know who wins. I still have respect,
both, man.
And the other thing too, I just lost it. I don't know. I was gonna say I was excited for something, but I can't remember now.
That's fine.
Hopefully this year's better for movies. I guess that's all I can hope.
Endgame. Well, it's already off to a decent start because Escape Room's actually getting some decent reviews. So
yeah, I want
for a January dumping movie, we're
and
already
the new Jordan Peele movie, Us.
By the way, has the trailer finally dropped for that?
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Okay, then
It's so good.
I'll need to check it out.
It's creepy as hell. Like. You get scared just watching the trailer, and I did anyway. And to me, that doesn't happen often. So I'm like,
okay,
oh my god,
I'm down. So, like I said, there were some other stories I want to talk about, but we'll skip that. So let's get into fucking Venom 2, already greenlit. And the writer of the original is coming back to write the second one. No.
Case, please tell me you have a really good rant for us. I was kind of hoping. I just envisioned Case just like
he hasn't seen it yet.
No.
Oh, you have?
No. I have seen Venom. I kind of liked it. It was not a good movie, but I kind of liked it. Are you seeing how much money this movie is making?
$856 million.
Exactly. Regardless of what you think or what anyone thinks of the movie, it made so much fucking money. Of course, it's getting a sequel. That's just Hollywood.
But same writer, like not even bringing someone on to help out.
Better, yeah.
Like, I think they know that the script they had wasn't the strongest. I mean, they have to know that they just kind of got lucky because people have wanted to see a Venom movie for so long.
If you want the biggest issue that I had with the movie was the cinematography. Everything was dark.
Yeah.
Why was everything so goddamn dark?
Yeah. It's literally nighttime throughout the whole movie, it feels like. Yeah. What is this, Nightcrawler? Shittier.
But look, it's gonna get a sequel. As long as Tom Hardy is in it, he'll probably save it because he kind of saved the first one. Look, Tom Hardy is a powerhouse actor, and he is essentially great in everything, regardless of what movie he's in. He is great in everything, and that was the case with Venom. Now, other than Tom Hardy, I had issues with a lot of people, mostly Riz Ahmed, unfortunately.
I thought he did pretty good. I think he just got bad direction. I'm sorry.
No, that might be the case as well. I also do think bad writing. So yeah, the fact that the same writers are coming back, it's like,
oh my gosh. Because he was scary looking. Like his facial expressions and everything. I felt like for a guy who's pretty small and like up to now hasn't played like the toughest characters ever. Like specifically Rogue One comes to mind. Yeah, like he plays this nervous character the whole time, but. It was cool for me to see him like actually play like kind of a smooth, suave, evil guy. Like that was cool. What sucks is, yeah, exactly. He was probably like lying, and he's like, "Really? I have to say that? Like, fuck, dude, you guys are trying to make me look like an idiot." And my question is, why does Woody Harrelson's wig look so fucking fake? Like, this is Hollywood. Why does his red hair, like Cletus Cassidy, does not...
Okay, to be fair, it was only an end credit scene. By the way, spoilers for Venom.
Yeah, sorry. Spoilers for fucking... But, like, it literally looks like they took, like, an orange clown wig and, like, kind of set it on his head.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah. No, that's
really fake freckles. Holy cow, those freckles look like they took a marker for bingo and were just like, bang, 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 bang. You're good. This looks amazing. Shot it on an iPhone. Like, what the... Oh, jeez. Show some respect for these Marvel characters. Like, literally, Carnage is one of my favorite Marvel villains fucking ever. I read the comic books where it's just Carnage because that's how awesome I think he is.
And he is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
But, you know, and there's a reason I stayed out of this one, just because I still haven't seen the movie. I don't care to see the movie.
Dude, if it's on TV, go for it.
I might watch it, but
if one day you've had a couple of beers and you have nothing else to do and it's late at night,
when I saw it, and that helped. Yeah.
Like, yeah, then watch it. Otherwise, don't really bother.
If you like jokes about eating tater tots, then fucking go for it.
Yes, frosted tater tots.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to know.
Can I eat him? No, you can't eat him.
okay.
I think, yeah.
Well then, let's move on to the last news story before we go to break. And this one is actually a really cool one for me, just because I'm Minnesotan, and unlike the last time I was talking about a Minnesota musician where I just blew my fucking lid for about 5 minutes, this is a news story I actually want to talk about, because one of my favorite directors is doing a documentary on Bob Dylan, and that is none other than Martin Scorsese. Ryan, would you care to join me for just a little heap of praise about why this is so great?
Guy changed music. Like, that the generation that he came from where, like, everyone was into the folk vibe and singer-songwriter and nothing but guitars, he embraced the generation, but he also revolutionized it. And for someone who I don't necessarily think he has a quote-unquote great singing voice, but it works for what he does, and it's how he presents it is the best part.
Plus, it helps that it doesn't matter what your background is of music. You've heard Bob Dylan songs somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Because he is literally the most covered artist of all time.
Yeah.
More so than the Beatles. More so than the Stones.
Impressive.
Literally, Bob Dylan's music has reached every generation in some way, shape, or form, and the dude's from fucking Hibbing, Minnesota. That is the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
He probably just got on a bus and went.
Pretty much. You know, he had his Mediterranean homesick blues, and then bam, he was off like a rolling stone, and sadly, it won't be too long before he's knocking on heaven's door, but...
Oh, my gosh.
I could go all night, baby.
These puns. Is it time to go to break yet? And,
No, I mean, the thing is like, his songs are so personal. That's the best part, I think. Is like, there's a song out there, there's a Bob Dylan song out there that if you listen to it, it's going to get you, because you're going to be like, damn, if that ain't my life. Because he was a very relatable musician. You know, there's a lot of musicians out there, especially nowadays, where their thing is to make themselves unrelatable. Like, oh, I got so much money and all my cars and then this and this. And it's just not relatable music. It's like, I wish I had that. Yeah, it's escapism music, which is fine too.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing wrong with escapist music. But the problem is that you have to have a little bit of realism to it. Otherwise, it just loses you completely. And thank God.
Emotionally detached.
Exactly. But thank God Bob Dylan was able to take us into his own psyche, but he was able to project himself into other people's psyche back into him. Like, that's just the power of his songs. And I would not want any director other than Martin Scorsese, who has such an appreciation for classic music.
Yeah, he's obviously a huge fan. There's no way he's not, because well, first of all, besides his age, but I mean, for him to undertake it, I mean, Martin Scorsese, again, he's one of those guys that can do whatever he wants at this point. Look at his Netflix movie, The Irishman. He literally said, you know what? I want a bunch of money, and this is what I'm going to do. And so they said, yeah, sure, go for it, my guy. Like, we're not going to stop you. I know, I'm so excited. But, I think I'm a little, not nervous, but just, it's going to hinge on the casting for me. It really is. Like, I know he's going to get the shots right. I know he's going to get the music right. What's that?
It's a documentary.
Oh, it's a documentary. Cast. Oh, well, my bad. I didn't pay attention well.
That's all right. That's all right.
I thought when I read it, it said.
Nope. Now, granted, well, I agree. If he was doing a biopic on Bob Dylan, I wouldn't complain.
Right.
But,
Okay, well, in that case, if it's a documentary, I'm more interested now because I think that it's going to be a lot harder to mess up any sort. But at the same time, the only thing I don't like about documentaries about musicians is you sometimes get less of a sense of their music. So if it's someone I don't know, now, yes. Right. And so now, yes, I know Bob Dylan's music. So I guess in this sense, it isn't an issue. But I would just be wondering, I mean, he's old. Yes, you've heard music of his, but really, how well do you know his music?
And that's fair.
And even I know only like his relatively popular albums. It's not like I've heard every fucking song of his. So I just feel like maybe it would have been interesting if it was a biopic. Now that I know it's a documentary, I'm a little bummed, but I'm still excited. It's Martin Scorsese. You can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And Case, I presume, sadly, you just don't have enough of an opinion on this.
I don't know.
Do they have music over there?
There's plenty of music, and look. My favorite band is still Queen, so that's still a thing. I just don't know. Like, I probably know plenty of songs of this musician. I just
at least know.
Like, I cannot picture any song right now because I don't know the name that well.
That's fine.
Martin Scorsese is just the one thing that does not have me like excited because I don't really like his films. But that's just me.
Yeah,
I know, blasphemy.
Before,
yeah, I say we've gone down this road.
We did.
And
I
forgive you for your transgressions, Case. But
I just every time I watch Goodfellas, it's like a revelation. That's all I had to say.
Every time I watch Goodfellas, that was just one time.
Oh, for you.
Well, but that being said, guys, this has been a fun bit for the first hour where we just went on we had some great conversation, but now we're gonna take a short break, and then we'll be right back with an even better conversation, and I will be crucified by every person who watches this show.
I will too.
You more so than me, Case. We talked about this prior.
You more than me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I will be crucified more than you will be. Yeah. But we'll be right back right after this, and keep in mind, if you want us to plug something that you guys are working on, hit us up. We'll add it in our break. But until then, we'll see you shortly.
The episode, I was really enjoying the chemistry. They clearly have it, and I want to see them together. But then Kaz lies to her, and Tora is like, "I know you. I know what you're doing." Chris, how frustrated are you?
I haven't been this frustrated since Rebels Season 3, okay? I have not been this frustrated since AP5 singing. That's how frustrated I am.
I like that actually.
Nico will not be a member of this panel anymore from this episode on. Sorry, Nico. Goodbye. No, I can't.
Doing the thing you do when you're about to play.
Being classy. There it is.
All right.
Classy Clark
Thank you, Ben.
getting the boss to become classy. I like it.
You know that Ben Bateman is now drunk.
That is that's how you play with a champion. As we get going here, how does round number 1 work?
In round number 1, the field of both competitors.
That was
is
worthy of a Ben
going to hear
Bateman
8
tackle
questions
right
from
there.
8 different corners of the movie Trivia Galaxy. Each question is worth 1 point. There's no penalty for missing a question. There is no stealing. In round
I'm giving you a hug across my screen.
Yes.
Because you want to know what we did? We talked out our philosophies like men,
Hey, I'm part of things too.
Like
Yay.
me.
Exactly. Come here. So
John Wayne sheds a single tear in heaven for the all of us.
there we go. Amen to the Duke. So tonight we're here to talk about. We're gonna finish out the show for the next however long it takes, talking about something that we all enjoy. That is dumb action movies.
But again, there's nothing wrong with liking to compete and having fun in the game. Like, I don't blame anybody that wants to play. But, like, poor Dave, it never goes his way.
He kind of surprised me with his performance in the Fast and Furious realm because, you know, A, those movies suck. Why would you bother to learn those questions in the first place? But whoa.
Michael, come on.
Come on, Michael. Come on. It's about family.
Look, when was the last time you watched Tiger Adrift? Goddamn.
Anyway. Like,
What did Khan do for the worker at the Starfleet facility to get him to blow it up for him in Star Trek Into Darkness?
he gave his blood to his daughter.
Correct for 2 points. Alright, your second question. In Final Frontier, when Kirk is rock climbing, who meets Kirk up halfway the rock face?
Spock.
Correct for 2 points.
And hello, welcome back to the second half of tonight's episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast right here on Dedicated to Art. I'm once again your host, Chris Dohmen. And, Case, let me ask you something. Why are we talking about this particular gentleman and his filmography tonight?
He has a movie coming out, I assume.
He does. It is the new film Replicas, where he apparently is playing this scientist who brings his dead family back, and his wife's played by Alice Eve. Hey, nothing wrong with that, am I right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
True.
But walk me through just for a moment. Before we actually dive into his filmography, the films that we have seen of his. What are your overall thoughts on this gentleman known as Mr. Keanu Reeves?
Keanu Reeves is the type of actor who's been in mostly action movies, who's like an action star. In terms of his acting ability, he's not that great. Everyone knows that. He delivers a good physical performance in most of his movies. Like most recently in the John Wick films, of course, which we're getting a new one next month.
In May.
Oh, in May. Okay, a little further down the line. But yeah, like most people know him as like the best worst actor because he's not that good of an actor, but he's charming. He has some personality to him that just attracts people to watching movies with him in it, especially action movies. And his action movies are sometimes loved, sometimes controversial, and sometimes suck.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Ryan, why don't you walk me through a little bit of your history with Mr. Reeves before I break it down?
I haven't seen a ton of movies of his, but I think the biggest thing that like makes him so intriguing is that even if the movie he's in isn't that great, you kind of walk in knowing he still can make it worth seeing just with, like Case was saying, the physical performance, and he's going to like kind of lend a certain gravitas, even though again he's not like the greatest actor ever, but it doesn't really matter because it's almost like he's a younger, for me, maybe this will get me hate, but he's like a younger Harrison Ford, to where he's not really the best actor ever, and maybe Harrison Ford's better than him still, but
Harrison Ford is a better actor.
Right.
Action star is debatable.
Right. And I think that's what, I mean, unless you're counting out like Indiana Jones even, which is, again, by an even better director. So there's all these things that kind of snowball. But my point, I guess, is that he's a good actor, not great, who's in a lot of action movies that are pretty good, maybe not great. But he stands the test of time because he's just an intriguing personality to watch on screen, I think is the biggest thing.
That's actually a really fair point you bring that up. Now, I'm probably the most familiar with his work because I've seen his career start from when he was kind of a teenage heartthrob to some of his more comedic roles to obviously then when he had his big action stunts from 91 to, let's say, 2003. And then when he was doing rom-coms and then other stuff. And then, obviously, now that he's back in this action, very, very action-oriented.
What he does well.
Exactly. But everyone calls him the best worst actor. And I think, personally, I think the reason for that is while he doesn't display the most dynamic range, his personality, though, works with more genres than people are willing to give him credit for. So I think initially for myself, selfishly, I kind of wanted to start from the top and then just go through today, but it sounds like that might not be the best route to go. So, well, I mean,
if you want to bring up some movies that you like, and if we've seen them, we can comment. I mean, we can basically start anywhere. He's got a shit ton of movies, so
that's true. I mean, well, and Christ, he started back in 1986 was the year of his first big film, which I haven't seen Flying, but I have seen Youngblood, which was him and Rob Lowe, and Patrick Swayze too, if I recall correctly. Which a fun little bit trivia there. You know, they were previously in The Outsiders together under Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah. Which, oh my god, that movie's so great. And Youngblood is fine, because it's more so Rob Lowe's story. But Keanu actually does give a good supporting performance as this kid who's dealing with depression and an abusive father, and what that can do to you when you're still in high school. So, like, the seeds were there. It just, I don't think his career ever got cultivated enough to, you know, to truly take off, because a couple years later, you know, he was in another big dramatic performance called Dangerous Liaisons, based on the French novel, and, you know, obviously starring alongside Uma Thurman and John Malkovich and Glenn Close in, oh my god, one of her best performances I've ever seen. Yes, speaking of The Wife.
I was going to say, yeah, I haven't seen that one before, but it is on my list. It's at the bottom, but it's still on there.
And I'll put it this way. If you've seen Cruel Intentions, you've seen a very Americanized version of that film.
Okay.
But then after that bit of sort of going nowhere-ish, like he tried dramatic one more time, like really giving dramatic in Parenthood, which was which is like one of the only good Ron Howard films in my opinion.
Yeah, I saw a part. I've seen parts of that. I didn't really care for what I saw, so I didn't try to rewatch it later. But
I actually would recommend it because Tom Hulce is also really good in that movie. Okay. But of course, let's start with the big one. 2 time-traveling idiots who are helped by George Carlin, a.k.a. God Among Men. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. I don't normally join the hype of people who love all these super 80s films like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Gremlins, yada, yada, yada. Like, I think most of those films are fine. But when people fanboy over Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I join right in the fun, because 2 high school dweebs who are total metalheads traveling around and meeting the real historical figures just so they can study for a history test. Come on. That is fun.
I think so anyway. I enjoy it. Like, I haven't seen it in a while, and it's been one that I've been trying to find so I can watch it again in a legal way. So there's that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's not like the funniest movie you'll ever see. Like, to me, as far as 80s movies go, yeah, there's ones that I love way more, like Back to the Future, Goonies, and stuff like that. But I think it deserves that, like, cult status, I guess, that it has. Yes. Because people nowadays, like, you know, people younger than me that I know, like younger cousins and stuff like that, really enjoy it. And it is just a fun adventure in the title, where, you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's to its benefit, I think.
Absolutely. That's kind of what makes it so like, in my opinion, so good, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. And that's especially true of Bogus Journey, which, I'm sorry, but watching Bill and Ted play death in a game of Battleship.
See, that one I haven't seen. I need to see that one. I haven't seen
You do have to see it, because the way Bill and Ted die in the first... So, to give you a quick synopsis. Bill and Ted die, and they have to come back to life somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to go to heaven to tell God, hey, put us back on our bodies. And how they get there is some of, in my opinion, some of the most absurdist but funny stuff. Because, oh, man, it's so good.
Yeah, I bet I can find like both of them for like the price of one or something like that. So I'll have to do that.
Probably. Yeah. You definitely should, because especially with the talks of 3 like now starting to build up some steam.
And that's interesting to me, because for a movie, like, obviously, well, just going back to like a movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, sometimes that can also be like really bad for a movie. So the fact that you have 2, I'm assuming I'll agree that the second one's really good. If you can somehow pull off a third one and not have like a Dumb and Dumber 2 situation.
Zoolander 2?
Or Zoolander 2, yeah. Which I'm not the biggest fan of Zoolander anyway, but I mean, it's still funny.
Ryan, okay. I knew I loved you.
No. But regardless of what you think of Zoolander, the second one was awful.
Okay, so yeah, and that's why I never even gave it the time of day, because I was like, if I'm not the biggest fan of the first one, like, there's like 2 funny parts to me. But anyway, we're talking about Keanu. I think that movie is really, besides the other big one that we're probably going to get to, it was good for him to like kind of break into it that way. You know, absolutely. With an classic 80s comedy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so he would do a couple more dramatic things. He'd do a couple more comedies, and they just would be these independent films that would kind of go nowhere until he re-met up with his buddy from Youngblood, dear old Pat Swayze, rest in peace. Good sir, we lost you too soon. For a little film that I know Case wants to talk about, where Keanu was an FBI agent. Case, start us off on Point Break.
This is not a good movie. This really is not a good movie. Or at least I really the first time I watched it was just by myself, and I thought, you know, fine action movie, nothing that great. Then I watched it with my girlfriend. She watched it for the first time. We were both just not enjoying it. We were both like, acting is not that good. The writing is not that good. I liked it better in 2001 when it was called Fast and Furious. Yeah. I don't really get the appeal to this movie. I really don't. And like most of the times I can at least understand like why people like it, but in this case I was like, I'm not getting it. Why do people love this movie so goddamn much?
I can legitimately answer that for you, because again, you're not getting crucified as much as I know I will be.
You will.
I will be. So I'm just getting ready for that. No, the thing with Point Break is like it's a very West Coast film. So if you grew up in that culture, if you grew up in that area of the world, even if you didn't, but you were around a lot of media where that was a thing. Like, for example, I watched Rocket Power a lot when I was a kid, and so I understood.
The animated show on Nickelodeon.
Yes. So, and because I watched that show a lot when I was a kid, I really understood a lot of that sort of surfer, skater, you know, extreme thrills, spirit. So you combine that with, you know, why Swayze and the Red Hot Chili Peppers, of all fucking people, are robbing these banks. Like, you gotta understand, they're not doing it because they are trying to fuck the system or anything. They just don't have anywhere to. They just don't have any place, and that's kind of true of a majority of surfer culture. So that's why I was able to understand that as well as I do. Like, and I'm actually kind of with Case in this one. Like, I don't love it like everyone else does, but I still enjoy the hell out of it because I think it's a fun
there are
film.
people who consider this one of the best action movies ever made, one of their favorite movies. That I'm like, how?
But I think it
just
depends
really don't
on
understand
how
that.
you grew up with it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, see, I didn't grow up with it either, but I approach it from its 90s. Like, that's how I see it. It's just
No, I do get
90s.
that.
So Con Air, I'm talking The Rock, I'm talking Armageddon, like fucking Point Break. Like, you just gotta approach it like, yeah, the acting is not good. The writing is really not good. Does it have some serviceable action scenes? Yes. Then I love it. And that's how the 90s was. It's like, does stuff blow up? Yes. I love it. Okay. So
And the moment that he shoots in the air. Ah!
And that's why I enjoy it. It's like, no, it's not good. It's not even as good as like Con Air. I love Con Air. Con Air is great. But so it's not even as good as that shitty movie. But that's exactly it. It's like, it's just, can you sit back, relax, put your brain to rest and just enjoy a crappy 90s movie that is like,
I couldn't even do that really, but
which is fine, and that's totally understandable. But I think at the time too, like, you got to put it in context of when it came out. Like, just movies over the time have gotten better and better and better, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So like, the action movies that come out now, there's just a different caliber. I mean, you still get your shitty movies, blah, 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 whatever. But I don't know. I think it's fun. It's fun enough. It's not the greatest movie of all time.
But it's absolutely a fun time. And, plus, Gary Busey, I swear.
I don't know why he's in movies. I'm sorry.
that man was born to play that role. Like, one of my favorite dumb lines in film comes from this film. And it's when Gary Busey is just pretty much strangling Keanu Reeves, and he's like, "Listen, you snot-nosed little shit. I was taking trapping on the case, son, when you were crapping on your hands and rubbing it on your face." It's like,
the dumbest line.
Like,
you can't say this.
And the worst part is he barely
George,
gets
you can write
through
this
it.
shit, but you can't say it.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's move on to. I want to give a quick shout out to one of his technically worst performances, but one that I still enjoy, and that's him as Jonathan Harker in
Dracula.
In Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Even though the accent is terrible, because he does some of the effect of like, "I know where the bastard sleeps. I'm clearly British, even though no, I'm not." It's like, oh my god.
I'm an MI6 agent.
Oh, jeez. So yeah, Keanu Reeves. I think that's a pretty good movie, though. I enjoy that movie.
It's a great movie, and it's one of Gary Oldman's best performances.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
He's kind of the reason you watch that movie. So Keanu
but he's
kind
of the
lucky
only
getting
reason you watch
casted.
that movie.
Yeah,
sadly.
yeah. But I mean, and that's kind of the thing with Keanu, though. Is like, even though you're like, wow, he's really not that good, you still watch his movies, and I think it's because I think he puts in the effort too. And we'll get like, obviously his more
he
recent
definitely
movies,
does.
you definitely see like a lot of the effort that he puts into it, especially as he's gotten older. But like, even if it doesn't translate into an amazing performance, it translates into the audience can tell that, I mean, he's given it everything he's got. I mean, he's there he enjoys it. He's having fun with these roles. And I think that's why like we're able to get into it too, is because, is this the best movie ever? No, but it doesn't have to be, because you're just there to enjoy whatever.
I do have to say, one of the movies that he starred in is considered to be one of the best movies ever. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But again, because of him.
No, not because of him.
No. But Case, how about you get us started on his other, just strictly action movie from the early '90s, a little thing from 1994 that I know you enjoy a lot.
Speed. Speed is a lot of fun. Speed. Die Hard on a Bus, as people call it.
Speed 2 is way better. Come on.
we are not going to acknowledge that.
No, we're not.
No, the first Speed is a lot of fun. Has a good opening scene. Like the opening scene gets you into the movie because it's a tense scene. It's good action, well made. It's actually like Keanu already getting a little bit more less wacky, like the kind of I'm an FBI, like that kind of lines you don't have in this movie. It's still Keanu, but in Speed he is more controlled for some reason. It seems that he had more direction to be like, okay, don't do your crazy stuff that you've done before that we know you from, essentially. Speed is a good movie.
Who's the guy that plays the villain again? The guy with the face? Dennis Hopper. I wanted to say Danny something. I don't fucking know. But that guy's No, I wasn't going to say that.
That would have been interesting.
I knew it started with a D. I was like, what is this guy?
I'm smarter than you, fool.
Yeah, but he's one of those guys. I don't remember who he is, but he was good.
Good performance by Jeff Daniels.
Yeah.
For the amount of time he's in it.
Yeah, because he totally doesn't crap the crap out way too early in the movie. Spoiler
alert. He does. Spoiler alert for a 25-year-old movie.
For a movie as old as Ryan.
Older. Well, no, not older.
Almost as old as we are.
Yes. Yes. And plus, I don't care where you're from. Sandy B was hot.
Oh, yeah.
And plus, actually, you know what? Hold on.
Was hot.
Speaking of Sandra Bullock, I'm gonna go on a rant for just 2 seconds here. So I was listening to Riley Roundtable today, and
is this about fucking Bird Box?
Yes, because you want
to
know.
So sick of hearing about that movie. No. Oh my god. Anyway, go ahead.
But this is what's sad. There are people these days who only know her as the Bird Box woman.
Yeah.
What?
Saw that on Twitter as well. Yeah.
Have you seen a movie ever?
Have you seen any popular films in the last 15 years?
Well, like, even Blindside is like pretty popular, and that wasn't that long ago. And then of course Gravity. And
that's the thing, Gravity.
I think it's just because there's a lot of like dumb teenagers that are watching it because it's on Netflix and like it's in all the memes. Like that's literally why people are watching it, is because it's in memes, which is genius because Netflix created those memes. They created the memes to market the film, which is fucking genius.
No, that's smart.
I mean, that's some Jake Paul level marketing. So thank you, Netflix, and go fuck yourselves.
What? Why?
No. To be fair, it is smart marketing.
Yes,
if you know how
it is, but it's cheap.
Today.
I just don't like it.
Chris, what are you gonna do about it?
No one makes you watch the movie. I haven't watched it.
I haven't watched it.
All right, so what does it matter?
Okay, but to be fair, we are not the target audience for those memes.
No, we're not.
We're a little too old for that.
And thank God for it. Although, to be fair, if you throw a Star Wars meme my way, then I'm gonna love it no matter what. So.
Yes.
That's how they market Episode 9. Memes. The poster is just a meme.
Kylo meme.
Yes.
A Kylo Ren Kylo meme.
Make it a Raylo meme, and then I'm booked.
That's literally the title of Episode 9. You didn't hear Raylo? Anyway, Keanu Reeves. Sorry.
That's fine.
Star Wars Episode 9, Raylo memes.
I think it's when you get the three of us together. There's
Sorry, hold on.
It's just 2.5 hours of memes scrolling across the screen.
Ryan, don't tempt me.
But no John Williams score either. It's like it's yakety sax. It's like bam 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 bam. Benny Hill music. Or nothing but what's the shitty song from the special edition of Episode 6? The not good one. Yeah, that one.
No, okay. So you do know that when I inevitably get Harloff on this show, we're gonna make him do that because he nails that impression. Anyway. Johnny Mnemonic. Speaking of weird shit. Right. Wait, Ryan, have you seen this one?
Yeah, only because I saw it on. I don't really remember it because I was definitely drinking. But I saw it. I used to watch the. I used to watch the Watch Mojos. That just proves how lame I am. But oh well, there you go. Yeah, we're both lame.
Yeah,
but, it was on like top 10 underrated, whatever something or other movies, action movies or something. And that was on there. I was like, wait, this actually kind of has a good premise. And while I don't necessarily remember a lot about it, I do remember thinking, like, again, drunk, that it wasn't that bad. Like, I just, rented it from the old library. And I was like, yeah, this actually isn't that bad. Like, not the worst movie I've ever seen. So, again, he's not great in it, but it's like an interesting premise that he's able to stand there and say lines and not be like,
a movie that he is great in.
I honestly think that's pretty.
We're gonna come up to that. We're just finish your thought. Finish the thought, Ryan. Finish your thought.
Yeah, no, it's a serviceable movie that is actually, I think, even though it's not that good, it's still underrated because I think it's at least worth seeing once.
Fair enough. No, so and now you mentioned naming a film he's actually really good in. I have one I'd like to throw on the table. It's from 1997, starring himself and Al Pacino. The Devil's Advocate.
He actually is good.
He's actually really good in it. Like,
and he may be elevated by playing off of Pacino,
but that's what Pacino does.
I should probably watch this movie.
You should. Like, it's actually really interesting. So yes, big shock. Al Pacino is playing the devil, and he hires on Keanu Reeves to be his personal lawyer. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Because that's really all the more that I think I need to say, because this movie takes a lot of weird twists and turns, and it takes you for a ride. And
while go ahead.
Oh, no, please.
Well, I was just going to say, like, I watched this when I was trying to see more Pacino movies. Like, I watched Scarface for the first time, and then, like, right around there, I watched this as well. So the reason I watched it is because Pacino, but, like, as soon as you said it, I had totally forgotten Keanu was in it. But once you said, name me a movie actually good, I was like, you know what? Chris is right. Like, he was actually not bad. So, yeah.
Yep. So
let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let's get into the number 18 movie on IMDb. The second highest grossing movie of 1999, nominated and won 4 Oscars over The Phantom Menace, The Matrix. Chris, what are your thoughts on this amazing movie?
I get why everyone loves it. I truly do. Because I grew up with this movie. I watched this movie so many goddamn times when I was a kid. But upon revisiting, to me, it's not that well acted. It's not that well shot. And the effects are, while good, have kind of become tainted for me because everybody and their mother has parodied it.
Well, that's true.
So
it has been parodied because of what it did.
Yes, and it's revolutionary. It is. It's all these great things, and I can't take away from that. I can't take away from its impact. I just don't like it. And part of it actually is Keanu, and it's now here's the reason why. Ask me why I don't really care for Harry Potter in the first 4 films.
Why don't you really care for Harry Potter?
Ask me why I don't really care for Luke Skywalker in the first Star Wars film. Ask me why there's a lot of these stories that are like the Chosen One or the Prophecy or, he is the Savior, the Messiah, the whatever, the gobbledygook. I don't care for those characters, partially because it's a bullshit backstory. B, all that it is just for you to put yourself in that position. And granted, if that's what you want, then I don't blame you. That's not personally what I look for in movies. I want to see a fully realized character in front of me, not a blank slate that the purpose is for me to insert myself into the thing, which is kind of ironic considering I'm writing a script where I'm essentially doing that. But the difference is I'm trying to create this actual character, this fully realized person. Neo is not that, though, in my opinion, though. So
I agree.
that's what just frustrates me about this movie. That yes, I did love it at one point, and I want to go back to loving it, but I just
But I think the thing, like you said, Luke and Harry Potter in their early appearances, and the thing that is where Matrix falls short as a whole is the next two are not good. Like I really like the Matrix.
And we'll get there in a moment.
Well, I'm not gonna like talk about the movies necessarily, but just to say for this one specific plot point that you bring up, in Harry Potter, that chosen one thing is fulfilled, especially if you've read the books. And then for Star Wars, not so much of a chosen thing, but just the one guy that it takes to defeat Darth Vader. Again, that's fulfilled when you find out Darth Vader is Luke Vader, blah, blah, blah. And that's why not
it works
fulfilled.
better.
Yeah. And so it's not fulfilled. So these other movies with that whole architect BS and all that, it didn't fulfill the promise. So it's not so much a backstory as it is he's the chosen one, then you need to get to the backstory. So
but
you get
there
it.
actually is an argument that he's not the chosen one.
Yeah, sure. There's a million arguments for a million different things. They've argued the same thing about Harry Potter and said, like, they thought, in the books, they were talking Neville Longbottom and all that. But,
I'd believe it.
I think that if they had been able to make a movie that wasn't incredibly confusing at the end for some reason, and you don't really know why anything happens, then I think if you're not wondering why does everything in this movie, I'm talking about the third one, happen, then maybe you get more fulfillment out of your character. But sorry.
No, that's true. Can I say
Please.
why I love this movie?
Please.
Because Neo is not that good of a character. Neither are really any of the characters. The characters might honestly be the weakest part of this movie. What I absolutely love about this movie, the action. The action is phenomenal. The way they brought back slow-mo is revolutionary, and there's a reason that this movie won all the Oscars, because it was just so goddamn good in terms of how it did action. And what is probably the most interesting thing, and this is what my parents essentially taught me, because they saw the movie before me, and then they said to me, look at this movie and look at what they do in terms of the story. Purely the story and how they adapt it from like a theory, like how people are looking at a wall and seeing images on the wall, but those images are being projected by something behind them, but all they see is the wall. That's the Matrix. They only see what they know because they don't know anything else. However, there's something else going on that they don't know about. That entire concept is goddamn brilliant, and I think it's perfectly executed in the movie in terms of how they just bring the story to life. Now, the characters are not the best. I still think the characters are good, serviceable for the movie, to make me care about the action and the story in the movie going on. And like, I don't absolutely love it. I would have The Matrix higher if the sequels actually had fulfilled something that they never did. Yeah, I think we can all agree the sequels suck balls.
I like the second one, except for the rave. That shit's dumb.
The second one has its good parts. The third one is just absolute garbage. But like with the Matrix, they created a universe. They created something that was like, once again, something like what I usually like: a Star Wars, a Lord of the Rings, a Harry Potter,
it's a
universe.
Saga. It should be some sort of saga.
There is a universe that they create that exists that I can totally believe, because seriously, people believed that they were living in the Matrix when this movie came out. People were like wondering, am I real? Am I living in the Matrix or not?
I remember this vividly.
That's the thing. People were seriously considering the fact that the Matrix might be actual reality. The fact that a movie can do that is just so insane. That is so good. If a movie can do that you can't deny its impact of the movie, regardless of what you think of it, of course. So I think that it is a really good movie. I love it. I have watched it a lot of times, and I will more in the future. But I do agree with you on the characters. I can see what you're coming from in that regard.
Thank you.
Well said, Kees.
Well said, indeed.
Thank you.
And just one last thing before we move on to the next film, which is a film that I absolutely adore. But one last thing about the Matrix is, while I will never take away from what it has accomplished, but damned if I just never truly find the love for it, because and this is actually the final thing. I respect the hell out of the Wachowskis for trying to show Eastern philosophy in Western culture and try to, put it in a very action heavy medium that just sort of better explains it. Problem. I've seen this done way the fuck better by Michael Dante DiMartino and Bryan Konietzko, a.k.a. the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
But that didn't exist when this came out.
That's true. That's true. But I'm just...
Later.
But, see, for me, it's the Led Zeppelin argument. Zeppelin came out first, but a lot of bands have done what Zeppelin did and did it better.
Okay. Yeah,
that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? In case the next time that you can't make a live show, and if it's just Ryan and I,
you guys go.
Yeah.
Well, we'll settle this little this dispute. I can tell is already starting to brew between us. Ryan, I love you and all, but
and Rush is my favorite band, and they started out as a Zeppelin imitator. So I mean, but yeah. Anyway,
and they were doing it better. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a whole long thing. What's next?
All right. Up next, we have a little film from 2000, directed by Howard Deutsch, and it's a great, fun little sports film called The Replacements. I love this movie. I love it so much. I mean, come on. You got Reese Ifans in this thing. You got Jon Favreau, Orlando Jones. What's her name? I cannot remember the name of the chick who he falls in love with, who's the head cheerleader, but Gene Hackman as the head coach. Oh, man. This movie is just a blast. The scene in the prison cell when everybody gets up and starts dancing, or starts singing and dancing to I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor. It's a thing of magic. All right, fine.
I believe you.
Sure,
I need to watch it.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll move on to 2001. There's another one real quick here. It's actually another sports film that I actually really enjoy, Hardball. It's where he basically coaches a little league baseball team. It's sort of like the Mighty Ducks, but for baseball. And it actually does kind of tug at your heartstrings. That's all I'm
But it doesn't have Emilio Estevez, Chris.
It's got an actor who's had a little bit of a better career. Sorry.
True.
You're
right. Right.
Can we just go into
yes? Now we can talk about
the big year.
Those awful sequels.
Look, you have a problem that if you have two major films that are sequels to your major film that came out in 1999, and the best film in the same year that came out in the same franchise was a straight-to-DVD animated movie called The Animatrix.
That's the one that I love.
Those are good.
Yeah, because The Animatrix is great.
Yeah.
It tells little stories about what happened in both either before the Matrix, essentially how the Matrix was created, what happened during the Matrix, what happened during the sequels, and it actually tells a lot of very interesting stories that I'm like, I wanted this in the sequels. To be honest.
Yeah.
The worst part is that the Wachowskis, they got too big for the britches. They tried to they liked the first one. It was a smash hit. Now we got to get all meta on them and like really pull out all the stops on all this philosophy,
kind of like Star Wars,
mind bending, and just all that. Well, nah.
But you know what's sad?
That
When
was like
Star Wars
politics,
pulled it
though.
off better than the Matrix
Yeah, honestly,
sequels.
I mean, and that was politics though. That was like completely still even different than this. And but the point is like I feel like they said for the third one is Revolutions, right?
Yes.
I feel like for that they said we're literally not going to give this audience the answer. We're gonna make them choose their own answer. Well, the thing is if you want me to choose your own answer, that's fine. I like ambiguous endings, but I at least have to know what the options are to choose my own ending. I don't even know what the fucking options are. Like there's nothing. You just don't know what's going on basically the entire movie, except when they're in the mechs and they're shooting stuff. Like that's the only part that makes any sense. Because with that whole architect thing, I was excited, but like because obviously I watched them not when they were first coming out. I was
the thing is the entire architect scene in Reloaded should be the most interesting, mind-bending, crazy, amazing scene that you will ever see.
You had Derek Jacobi, for God's sakes. How can you screw this up?
And it's the most boring shit you ever see in this entire trilogy.
Don't know what he's saying. The words that he's saying mean nothing. They're
ergo, a lot of ergo.
Ergo, therefore, here to further.
And it was like, they did
like, what the fuck?
They did so much setup for get ready, here it comes, guys. Are you ready? Are you ready? And then once you get there, they're like, we're not going to give you the answer.
But
I was like,
see now,
you can't do
literally,
that.
all that Derek Jacobi had to say was, "Oh, you are only in one layer of the Matrix. There is one more Matrix that you must beat." Bam.
Yeah.
That's all you had to do. That's literally all you had to do.
But they tried to get too meta with it. Like, we're not going to give it to you because we're going to withhold it and it's going to teach you something and all of this. And it's like, well, it didn't fucking work.
Oh, I'll tell you what it taught me. It taught me how to be real fucking patient.
I've never watched them again. I've since watched Reloaded. The animation, the CGI kind of like falls off with what they tried to do, like the body animation. I think if they tried it,
I mean,
nowadays it would look
the
way
highway
better.
sequence at times, it's still actually a
the highway sequence is great.
It's a marvel of visual effects masterpiece, and it's like it laid the groundwork for something that could be done better. For example, the Transformers sequence on the highway, which was obviously very inspired by this movie, it did that, but it did it better, in my opinion.
I would even say Transformers is a shittier movie. So what are you gonna do about it?
No, but what I still What I still very much appreciate about Reloaded is that they actually did set pieces for certain action scenes, and that they actually put in the effort of making sure that we had some great action scenes. Like everything in Revolutions, it's so CG, it's so bloated, it's hardly. I cannot even relate to anything going on. It's just a lot of loud action CG bullshit coming at you, and it's like, who the fuck cares? But Reloaded. At least they built a 2-mile highway to shoot that actual highway chase. Credit to that, that is actual filmmaking they can do at that point.
They revolutionized, and I don't know because I'm not in the industry, but I watched a video on YouTube only a couple years ago actually, and it was talking about just a lot of the rigs that they built to like move the cars and all this stuff during the sequence, and how they were like doing bullet hole. I don't know. They just did a lot of stuff.
The bullet holes in the car, that it increases throughout the scene. Yeah.
Yeah. The way they changed it as to like, it was different than how they'd ever done it behind the scenes type of thing before. So like, you can at least say you tried, but it feels like they didn't even try with the third one. So what the fuck?
Mr. Anderson.
I thought you were doing like,
give me a reason why I should try.
Oh, not
you don't like his performance in that? You're not a big Hugo Weaving fan anyway.
I was just reminded of that scene. Oh my god.
I think he does pretty good in at least the first two.
He does. I mean, he's fine in the first one, but I hate how they brought him back. I genuinely hate it.
He shouldn't have been brought back. That's true.
just and then the fucking
especially with a million guys just jumping at Neo in the thing, and it's all full body CG and it looks fucking awful.
That's the part that I was talking about. Is like if you tried it nowadays, it wouldn't look so horrible, but they just they got too big for their britches, and they're like
way too big.
That's debatable, Ryan. If we can't make Doomsday not look like the troll from Lord of the Rings, it's oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But hey, at least Keanu got money off of these movies because
holy cow, did he ever?
Reloaded is still one of the highest grossing R-rated movies ever.
True. And I will say he got some street cred back that same year that all those failures came out with a little film called Something's Gotta Give, which, of course, everybody only thinks of Amanda Peet, Jack Nicholson, and Diane Keaton for their great performances in the movie. Or, sorry, is it Diane Lane? Diane Keaton, Diane Lane. Hold on.
Diane Lane.
You are... No, it was Keaton. Haha.
Was it?
Yes. But
one of them.
But he actually gives a great performance as Jack's doctor. Like, yeah, it's one of those rare.
I watched that one so long ago. Like I was still a kid, so I don't even remember. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Then let me ask you this, then, Ryan, as a as a fellow smoker, do you ever wish you were in a long coat? You were battling angels and demons. Now,
this one I saw on a tiny laptop screen, which, yeah, it's just, I feel like it's not that bad of a movie, but I feel like it would have been better if I saw it when it came out in theaters.
Same.
Kind of like a
Venom
or
Constantine.
Like that. Constantine.
Right.
He's not bad in it.
No. But the movie doesn't do him that many favors.
No. And it's an interesting story. I mean, obviously, I've never read any of the comics, but it seems like I'd like the comic. So, yeah, I mean, I really have no opinion. It is what it is. It was that, because it came out in like 2004, right?
2005.
So it was like
2005.
2005, close enough. So it was like that era where they were kind of like knocking on the door of some decent superhero movies and some comic book movies. So, I mean, the same year as Batman Begins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they tried. I'll give them that. But, yeah, it falls short. They could have done, even with Keanu, they could have done better. So.
Fair enough. And before we hit one that I think Case has seen, I just need to I just want to talk about a great little film from 2006. That was Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock as lovers lost in time, and it was called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
What?
Or also known as...
Case, come on. Also known as The Lake House.
I have no idea what that movie is.
I've heard about it.
Yeah, but dude, you don't remember the...
No, I remember Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah, but you don't remember what happened in way back when. Jacob Jono 1.
Oh no, I don't remember this now.
Oh, did he mix it up?
Oh no, wait. Oh wait, yes. Where Jacob's at the lake house instead of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That is why Jono won the match, and Jacob is still killing himself for that because Eternal Sunshine is one of his favorite movies. And the puns that we made afterward to just give Jacob shit.
Oh man. I feel so bad for that now. I genuinely feel bad, but man, come on.
Sits on a street corner asking for change every day
and
now, but
it is a sad thing. It's not even a good movie. So, what are you gonna do? Apparently,
it's crazy how Jacob mixed up years because he's very, very good at movie release dates, and this is a 2-year difference, not even a 1-year difference.
Yeah,
so
it happens. But as we go to now, Case, remind me, have you you said you have seen the remake of Day the Earth Stood Still?
Did I?
Oof. Yeah. Okay.
I saw this in the theater.
Ah.
For some fucking reason, I went to this in the theater. I really don't remember much of it.
I don't
Keanu
blame you because
was-
it's quite terrible.
it's very forgettable. Like I haven't seen the original, so I don't know anything about how that was going down. But I just know all I know from this movie, all I kind of remember is that it's very bland, very average. Like Keanu is not memorable in it. He could have been played by anyone. I think that anyone in this movie could have been played by anyone, even though it has like a big cast list. And it's like, what happens in this movie is like, Keanu apparently is this like entity who controls this other entity, which destroys the Earth. And then at one point the Earth it seemingly goes to shit, and then it doesn't, and that's all that happens in the movie. And I barely remember it, and I think I've actually rewatched this at home, but I barely remember any. And the thing is, usually when I've actually watched the movie, I remember it, but I don't remember anything really of this. So that just shows how
it's quite terrible. And as a big fan of the original Day the Earth Stood Still, Ryan, it looks like you are too. Which
I've only seen the original. Gort, that's all I know. Gort. I love the original. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Keep it. At that.
Yeah. Because oh man,
I was gonna watch the remake because the first time I saw the original was probably like 8 or 9 years ago, and I was like, "Oh, this is sick." And then I was like, "I'm gonna watch fucking the remake," and then I just never got around to it. So now hearing you guys talk about it, I'm glad.
Good man.
It's
just don't.
Well, to be fair, it's not like it's not like it's awfully made because Scott Derrickson did the best with what he was given, but oh man, Doctor Strange, this movie was not.
Sinister.
All right, Jennifer Connelly.
So now, before we get to the last big one, I do want to actually hit on. I want to hit on two real fast, and it's kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but one of them it deserves it. One of those movies is a little film called Knock Knock. Oh God! Look, I'm an Eli Roth defender, but this movie's really hard to defend, even with Ana de Armas in it.
Yeah, first of all, she's hot. Second of all, I thought it wasn't that bad. I mean, I guess I went in with super low expectations, and
that's the problem because I'm actually a fan of Eli Roth. I went in with decently high expectations, and yeah,
he is good. But I guess just based off the trailers, because by this time I had already been, watching Movie Talk and all that, so I heard a lot of talk about it leading up to it coming out. Because of Eli Roth, I guess. And so I went in with decently low expectations. Like, again, just rented it for $2. And I thought it was okay. But maybe I misremembered or something. I don't know. I definitely won't be rewatching it, that's for sure.
Yeah, same. Now, another film that he has a supporting role in, but I think is still a very impactful one nonetheless, is a little film from 2016 that made my top 10 easily, called The Neon Demon. I love this movie. Case, would you like to come join me in a round of praise?
No, this movie is great. It really is. It is weird as shit. Things happening. Like, there's this random scene of a puma suddenly in the apartment of the main girl, which is kind of out of,
Elle Fanning.
Yeah, Elle Fanning. I know, but it's a very weird and random scene. And Keanu is there, and he gets really mad at her. Like, why did you leave the window open? Why did you allow this beast to come in and wreck your room? But yeah, for some reason, Nicholas Winding Refn knew that he had to cast Keanu Reeves for this little role, which he was actually pretty good in. I'll admit that, because the director knew that he had to cast him for that little role because Keanu worked so well for the little role, even though it was just a few minutes of screen time, really. The Neon Demon, I have to look up where it is in my list of 2016 movies, but I did quite like it. I remember...
I believe I had it as my number 7.
I remember that I went to see it with a friend of mine, and my friend walked out of the movie.
I remember you telling that story, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think when we were still at the other internet thing we used to do, you had brought it up, and because I had wanted to see it then, and I still want to see it now because I like Nicholas Winding Refn, but that's one of his.
The thing is, he is a very
like surrealist.
Yeah, he is a very weird director in terms of his films. He makes a lot of weird choices.
Yeah. That's
and
what I like about
it. And that can either work for you or not.
Yeah.
Of course, depending on the execution of those movies. It's number 20. It's number 20 for me out of 73 movies, though. So that is pretty high, actually. Nice. It's above other very good movies. So there you go.
Fair enough. So that being said, let's bring it to a close with the franchise that has reignited this man's career, because I'd swear to God, from 2003 to 2014, he was scarcely getting good material. He was scarcely getting big roles. And when he would get something, it would be not necessarily that well received. Until, damn bastards, they shot his dog.
They shouldn't have done that.
They shouldn't have done that.
Fucking Theon Greyjoy.
I know, I was about to say it too. Alfie yelling, piece of shit ass motherfucker. Dude, he is like, he's never been more punchable in Game of Thrones than he is in that.
John Wick,
yeah. Yes. So John Wick, honestly, the best action series in a long time. Like, as far as impact and as far as quality of film, I think these films are the new...
In terms of quality of how action is shot,
these films are the new Die Hard, in my opinion.
Look, I don't think much of Die Hard as a series, but sure, why not?
Look, the thing is about the two John Wick films we've had so far, neither of them reinvented the wheel in terms of filmmaking, screenwriting, whatever. What it did do is it brought us back to a time where we actually had action in frame. Where you can actually see the choreography and the actors interact with each other. Because, for fuck's sake, how fucking hard is it to these days not have something extremely quick cut or extremely shaky cam just to mask? I know, to just mask bad choreography. They do shaky cam. They do all kinds of tricks to mask bad choreography. However, as a result, you get a shitty movie because you can't see the action and you don't feel that you're into it. With John Wick, what they do, they put the camera way back from the actors and they show the actors doing their stuff. They actually give choreography. They just teach them how to just move, and that's why Keanu Reeves is a good actor to cast in the role. Keanu Reeves is not that good of an actual actor. He is a very good physical actor. He knows how to move. He knows how to do these action scenes. And that is why you can really well just put him in front of a camera, fighting someone, punching some guys, killing some fools who shot his dog.
And he mean mugs the hell out of people, too. Like, he's got kind of a scary looking face. Like, if I just saw him out and about and I didn't know who he was, I would not pick a fight with him. That's for sure. So, no. I mean, and like Case was saying, like, are they necessarily master classes in filmmaking? No, but that's the thing, is they don't need to be, because as an action movie, we just want to see cool things happen. We want to see people get shot in the head.
We want to see action.
Beat the fuck up. And yeah, we want to see him have to struggle. And it's almost it is elevated by the fact that it is something so seemingly trivial, but very relatable in that if someone killed your dog, you'd be fucking pissed too. And if you had the skills that John Wick had, you'd probably take advantage of those skills because of what the dog meant to him. And that's a dog. You just don't kill dogs. You just don't. And so I think,
especially when they're reminders of your wife, you know.
Yeah, right.
It was the last gift of your wife to you. So yeah.
I think the best indicator of the impact / quality of these films, be what it is that after 2, we're still looking forward to the 3rd. Because how often does that happen with action movies, where you get a second movie, you actually like that second action movie, and then you want to actually see more? Like, how often really does that happen? Not that often.
Lethal Weapon?
Okay, I meant like in our adult generation, I guess.
No, but like not after the year 2000.
Yeah, just not that much. Like, some people would probably say Fast and the Furious. I know some people have appreciated that series from start to finish.
I do.
But yeah, so there you go. So I mean, there are some out there, but it's pretty rare.
To be fair, Mission Impossible in retrospect, though. But the thing was, the second Mission Impossible is the least favorite for everyone. Yeah. However, when Mission Impossible came back with 3 and then 4, people were once again looking forward to 5, 6.
I don't know what the word was when the 3rd one was getting prepped to come out, but I doubt anyone was like dying for it.
No one was excited for it.
Yeah.
No.
So,
at least not until JJ was announced.
From 4 to 5
and even if JJ was announced, because it was his first film.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but people really liked Alias, so that was where they were.
I know, but still, like, that's only for the people who like the TV show that he's done. But still, it was his first film to actually do a motion picture, a big blockbuster with Tom Cruise as Mission Impossible. That's something different.
It is a big first film.
Yeah.
And the craziest thing too is, I mean, Brian De Palma directed the first one, which is a fucking legend. So I mean, whether you're following in the footsteps of right after with the second, or John Woo, who totally dropped the ball on that one. Yep. Although I don't hate Mission Impossible 2, I'll still watch it. It's definitely the weakest.
It's just the weakest of the series.
But then
I'll watch it, but man, is it tough to get through at times.
Yeah. I like the motorcycle chases though. But 4, 5, and Fallout. The fact that it's kept going, it's great. But talking about Keanu Reeves, again, not in retrospect, the fact that we saw the first one, we saw the second one, and we actually want a 3rd one, that does not happen all that often.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the first one, I didn't see in theaters, and I think a lot of people also didn't see in the theater because people weren't really sure what to think of that movie. But then a lot of people saw it after it was released on a home release, and people were like, wow, this movie is great. This movie actually just shows us the action. Then the second one, of course, a lot more people wanted to see in the theaters. I went to see in the theater, and it was still really good. It was still a really well done action movie.
Twice.
And twice even, jeez. And after that, I think everyone just wants to see the 3rd one. Not necessarily because it's going to have that great of a story or whatever. It's just because it has very well shot, made action.
I actually like the story of the second one. I thought the way they elevated it. I mean, there's not that much plot to the first, so they knew for the second one they had to actually put something in there to keep people interested.
World building.
Right. Sure. And I think they did a pretty good job. And no spoilers because it's still kind of recent, but I mean, just the way the second one ends, it left me like, holy fuck, what is going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, I'm expecting this one to be insane.
Shit, I still want a movie about the Continental.
I know. Or like a limited series on
anthology.
Netflix. Yeah, that would be awesome.
The Continental, a John Wick story.
Wait, is there going to be an opening crawl? That's what
No. Because it's an anthology, it's not going to have that. Maybe
but hold on though. But the second anthology still had a crawl of a kind. It just wasn't a kind.
Yeah.
It always
Shit
comes back
bats,
to Star
indeed.
Wars for us. Oh my god. Okay.
Sorry.
It's
Sorry.
us. Have you met us?
Yeah, of course, of course. So with that, I think we're gonna pump the brakes. We're gonna take it down for tonight. But before we go, I do actually have a couple of announcements real fast. Next week we are gonna be back. We're gonna have some guests. We're gonna have 2 guests. Woohoo!
So many people.
And just in time for a little event that our 2 guests are gonna have at the end of the month in a certain Empire State of Mind city. We actually have some good friends of the show.
What could it be?
What? Who could they be?
I-
Yes, big shock. We do have Chance Ellison from the Movie Trivia Schmodown and from the podcast Notorious Chance, as well as Janine LC, a.k.a. Janine the Machine from the Schmodown. We're going to have them on to get into a conversation that I have wanted to talk about for a long time. And sadly, I don't think in any of our previous work we had really the platform to do that. But this is a conversation that I really want to have with them, and that is geeks of color and why it took Hollywood so long to finally give them the spotlight. So, and this is going to be the first of us doing some deep dive topics. Because as I said last year, that's what I want this show to be. I don't want it to just be a movie podcast. Granted, what we just did for 2 hours, I love it. And I want to keep doing this too. But damn it if I don't want to start asking the tough questions. The questions that make people uncomfortable to answer. So, with that, I hope you guys can all tune in next week, same time. Actually, no, not same time. Not same time. We'll be a half hour late because to accommodate Janine's work schedule, so that way she's at least here for an hour. We'll be starting the show a half hour later, so we'll be starting at 9 Eastern. Sorry, Case, if you're only on for the first hour, totally get it, because that will be pushing it for you. So I don't want to.
I have the night shift next week. I'll be fine.
Oh, okay. All right then. I guess the answer's that then. But so. That's what we're doing next week. Then the week after that, on the 25th, I had a conversation with a random fellow on Twitter the other day. He was talking about his fantasy casting for a movie based on a certain Star Wars game.
What could it be?
What could it possibly be?
There's a lot of Star Wars games.
No,
But
I mean, what are we currently writing a thing for?
what?
Star Wars
No.
Battlefront. Empire at War.
Oh, dude, don't Ryan, don't.
By the
don't-
way, if
Commando.
I could, I would. because
Yes,
that was a
exactly.
great story.
Exactly. But yes, no. So we are going to have from the Miscast Commentary Podcast, Joe Findlay, who is the host over there. We're going to have him on to talk about KOTOR pitches. Here's the best part about it, because he is a staunch defender of the idea of doing a movie based on the game, whereas Case and we're staunch.
Hey, I was also for a movie. I wouldn't mind a movie.
Oh, then hold on a second, then, Case. Then you should be the moderator for this conversation between him and I, then, because
Sure.
like, granted, would I be happy with the movie? I guess, but for me personally, God damn it, there's a throwback if I ever heard.
For
Me personally,
Fuck.
Damn it.
maintain professional.
Come on,
Professionalism,
round
right?
out the show. You
Yes,
got
I'm
this.
trying to wrap it up. But for me personally, like I think the story can only work in a TV limited series, or if we're going to include the second game, a 3-season show. So we're going to have him on to talk about this, and I'm very excited for that conversation. And the next week after that, we like to announce that making his debut on our channel, longtime fan Jonathan Peck will be joining us for a conversation on animated sequels in honor of...
When will we have Nico on, by the way?
I'm going to try to sneak him on next week for a few minutes.
Okay.
So, but yes, so we actually have guests, and we're always gonna be looking for more. So if you guys have people you want to pitch to us to try to get, let us know. And I have a couple more that I have, but I don't have confirmed dates yet. So when we get closer to setting a date with those guests, I will let you guys know. But Ryan, where can the good folks find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Clan McLellan. That's at Clan McLellan. Almost forgot how to spell my own name. And JJ Abrams, if you're watching or listening and you're directing a little movie called Star Wars, you want to come on and talk about Star Wars with us. We're huge fans, just like you. And, come hang out. It'll be fun.
Absolutely.
You never know who's watching. It's the internet.
You never know, indeed. Case, where can the good folks find you online?
You can find me compete in certain fandom matches on Multiplex Entertainment. I compete in the Team League, the Singles League, and the TV fandom. At least I'm still in the tournament, going up against Thaddeus Smith next. He's a champion, so I doubt I'll win. But sure, check it out anyway. Otherwise, you can find me at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter and Kees Cornelisse on Facebook.
All right, and you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, at Skywalker Dohmen. You guys can follow this very channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. And as Case mentioned, we have our Schmoedown reactions will be back at the end of the month. We'll also have our Star Wars Resistance recap show, Viva la Resistance, coming back this Sunday or Monday. Probably Monday, a little more likely. But either way, it's coming back. And we just dropped our new reaction for the Vader fan film, Shards of the Past. Please check that out. And I'm excited for what 2019 is going to bring us this year. Not just in terms of film or music or the world around us, but also what it's going to do for this channel specifically. I'm excited, and I'm happy to have all of you here with me. So, from everybody across the board, you guys know what to do. Take care!